guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ken, and today we're here to review an older film.
Yep.
We're traveling all the way back to 2014 to talk about Adam Wingard's The Guest.
The Guest.
Starring Dan Stevens.
I have finally seen The Guest.
Yeah, I've been trying to get you to watch this movie for the longest time. I don't know where you were when I first watched it. I watched it on Netflix, and it was probably back in 2015 or 2016 that I first watched it. But
yeah.
I've always loved this movie, and I've been trying to get you to watch it. So we finally watched it. I'm like, you know what? Let's just do a review for it. Who cares if it's not a new movie? Let's just talk about it. And we did watch. Look, I'm a physical media collector. I got to pull out my physical media limited edition 4K release of The Guest right here. Beautiful cover on this. Really awesome. What do you think about this?
I gotta say, you know, I'm not into the physical media, but I will say that is a very, pretty little box set.
Second Sight
I love
edition.
the colors. So.
They always deliver. So yeah, you were very impressed by the title screen.
I was.
When we first booted it up. But before we get into talking about The Guest, if you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, hit the subscribe button. We do movie reviews, TV reviews, fun, entertaining live streams every Monday night.
Yeah.
So hit that subscribe button, and also
like the video.
Like she said. If you've seen The Guest before, let us know your thoughts in the comment section. And if you haven't, I'll just go ahead and say it. I highly recommend that you check it out. But I want to know your thoughts on the movie. This was a first-time watch for you. I've seen this movie. This is probably the fourth time I've seen this movie. But what were your thoughts?
Yeah, so going in, I do feel like this movie was pretty hyped up, by you. Yeah. You had told me how good this was, and you've always expressed that you think that I should watch it and that you thought that I would like it. And so, yeah, I gotta say, I was, I feel like it was really good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I do think that it was spoiled a little for me, and so I think that might have taken away a little bit from it, as far as the whole, this movie is like, it does have a twist in it, I guess, or, kind of just this, you don't really know what's going on.
Kind of, they just kind of throw you into this situation. It's a mystery as to like what's going on, what's the motivations of Dan Stevens' character.
Yeah,
and they kind of just unravel it as we go. Yeah,
so I will say I feel like I kind of knew a little bit more than the normal like blind watcher who knew nothing about it, but still, overall, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was just fun. It's a fun movie, but it's also, even though it's fun, it's also like sad and violent, and
it's a lot of things.
It's all the things, and also I really enjoyed. You said Dan Stevens? Dan Stevens,
yeah.
Yeah, Dan Stevens. He was really great in this. So
yeah, I mean this is the movie. I know he's from what's the show called? Downton Abbey.
Downton. I think it's just Downtown Abbey.
No, I think it's Downton. I've been corrected
really?
Because I've on the Physical Media Report, which is a show I do every Monday. I've called out like the 4K of this that came out, and people correct me. It's not Downtown Abbey.
Oh, okay.
It's Downton Abbey.
Okay.
So he was on that, which is like a British
right.
soap opera or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Well, it's not a soap opera, but it's like equivalent to, I don't know, what's the popular
90210, something like that, maybe.
It's not a soap opera, but it's.
So he went from that show to doing this, and he talks about that in the special features on this, how he came over, and this was one of like the first big roles that he was given from Adam Wingard. So this made me a fan of him for life because I know his potential, and I think he's great in this movie. I think it's one of the best performances of the 2010s, and as popular as this movie is, like in the movie loving community, I still feel like it's incredibly underseen. And unknown. So if you're watching this review and you haven't seen it, again, I highly, recommend this film. It's a genre blender, in my opinion. It's action. There's a good amount of horror as well. It's set around Halloween, so you kind of have those Halloween fall vibes.
Yeah.
Sci-fi as well. Like it's really a lot of different things, but it is a fantastic movie. So
yeah, it's very. I would say like atmospheric. It definitely has like a vibe to it.
And the music is fantastic.
The music is really good. There is one song choice that happens, I think it's like towards the end, that I didn't feel like was very fitting. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But other than that, the soundtrack was, pretty awesome. And I felt like it looked good. It looked a little like aged, if you will.
Yeah, that might have been a choice, because I think the movie, like, it was made in 2014 or probably made in 2013, but I think it's set like in maybe the early to mid 2000s.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's what you said. I wasn't sure, but I started to see people with like flip phones and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I feel like it was set before like the iPhone came out, at least.
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
It's a little bit like dated as far as its time period.
Yeah, it just had kind of like I don't know if you'd say like retro look to it, aesthetic to it, or whatever. I don't know. It just wasn't, from what I remember, it just wasn't like that super like crisp, like new looking movie. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if I'm like.
Which might have been another choice, because I feel like the director and the writer of this movie, Adam Wingard, Simon Barrett, they also did a movie called You're Next, which you've seen. That's a straight up horror film.
Right.
I think that they're a fan of like the 80s time period and just that aesthetic. So that might have been intentional, that choice. But
yeah. And there are some parts that I felt like were a little corny. Especially when it gets into like the kind of twist.
When things start to really unravel and the world opens up, like it does get a little.
It gets a little. There, it just gets a little like I don't know the word. It just felt like one of those like corny action.
Which kind of goes back to the 80s. There was a lot of this type of stuff in the 80s, like cheesy 80s like sci-fi action films, like.
Yeah.
That is a genre. Like, that is something that played out in the 80s, horror slashers. I feel like they wanted to blend all this stuff together when they made this movie.
Yeah.
I think they did it pretty successfully, but I do feel like, when you're watching it, maybe you'll notice some kind of, like, shifting tones and some tones that kind of clash throughout the movie.
Yeah.
But that to me is, like, a part of the movie's charm. But just kind of going back, like, if you've never seen the movie before, I don't want to spoil anything. It's kind of hard to dance around, like, certain plot beats. But basically, you've got Dan Stevens. He was in the Army, and his partner got killed, and he basically goes and finds his partner's family and kind of infiltrates them and seemingly wants to become a part of their family. Mm-hmm. And not really take the place of their son, but you can tell that his motivations aren't entirely pure or genuine, I'll say.
Yeah, I mean,
at least seemingly,
Yeah. So, and like you said, without spoiling anything, if you haven't seen it, they let it be known though that that there's gonna be something that happens.
There's something about him that cannot be trusted.
I feel like really Dan Stevens is just like the selling point of this movie. Everybody else was kind of
I'm a fan of Maika Monroe just because around this time she did It Follows in this movie. I don't know if she's the greatest actress of all time, but I think she's good. And these kind of like smaller, I don't know how exactly you describe her character in the way she acts and performs, but I think she brings some charisma to these type of films with her performance. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't think I was necessarily the biggest fan of her.
Yeah.
But
she kind of plays this like almost like spaced out, little bit drugged out character in this movie, and also It Follows.
She's playing like a 20-year-old, almost 21-year-old, and she's still like kind of portraying this like moody teenager, almost. And so, yeah, I don't know. I didn't particularly love her. I thought that the mom, she was kind of like
Mom's kind of like a generic Hallmark mom.
Yeah, and the dad, he's playing this kind of, I don't know. I feel like...
I like the dad. I like the guy that plays the dad. Like I said, I remember him from The Bone Collector. And he's been in a few other movies too. And
gotcha.
I thought I can resonate with the dad, just kind of being that guy who doesn't get the opportunity that he wants necessarily at work and comes home and is just depressed over it.
The selling point of this movie was just watching, Dan Stevens' character just interacting with everyone because you just kind of never really knew what he was going to do. And so that for me was the really entertaining part of the movie.
Yeah,
and
my favorite scene in this entire movie is the bar scene.
Yeah, that was a really fun
with the teenage bully punks at the other table. That is my favorite scene.
Yeah, he was just this very mysterious, likable, charming guy, but also by the end of it, you're like. Like I said, I just felt very confused.
But there's an explanation for it.
There is.
And the explanation doesn't make you hate him as much, I guess.
Oh, yeah. The explanation definitely...
makes you understand, I guess, like what he is and what his motivations are and why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, that definitely helped me for sure. And, without spoiling too much... the way that they end it, I can't believe that they never made a second one. So maybe they will one day. I don't know.
They like I told you, they made a soundtrack for the second movie, but they never made a second movie.
That's weird.
It was very strange.
How do you make a soundtrack?
That's
for a
why
movie
I got
that doesn't exist?
the Godzilla versus Kong movies are okay, but I always wanted Adam Wingard to go back and do The Guest 2 with Dan Stevens. So I hope at some point it happens because I think there's definitely something there.
Yeah.
There's a story there, so hopefully it happens at some point.
Yeah, I mean, overall, a really fun movie, and I'm glad that I've finally seen it.
Yeah, I love this movie. Do you want to give it a score?
Let's do it. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay, 4 out of 5. That's a good score. Look, as much as I love it, I don't know if I can go perfect 5 out of a 5, but I'll go 4.5 out of 5. I really love this movie, and I always have since I saw it. So.
Yeah, it is good. I think I could have done the 4.5 had I not felt like I knew some stuff. I don't know.
It's a great throwback that mixes a lot of different genres and styles from the 80s that I love. So I think if you like that kind of stuff, you'll enjoy this movie. But that is our review of The Guest. Check it out. Maybe it's on streaming. I didn't look up what streaming service it's on, but you can get this nice 4K edition. Maybe not the box set from Second Sight.
I was going to say, is that still available?
I don't think the box is, but I think the regular 4K but there's a Blu-ray as well, regular Blu-ray. But thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.